Welcome to CBTV.
Not in a stupa. Over 10 years ago, one of my disciples in Vietnam had a stupa, a Buddhist shrine, built for my ashes. I told her that I didn't need a stupa for my ashes. I don't want to be stuck in a stupa. I want to be everywhere. But she protested. It's already built. In that case, I said, you'll have to put an inscription on the front saying, I'm not in here. It's true. I won't be there in the stupa. Even if my body is cremated and the ashes are put in there, they aren't me. I won't be in there. Why would I want to be in there when outside it is so beautiful? But in case some people misunderstand, I told her they might need to add another inscription saying, I am not out there either. People won't find me inside or outside the stupa. Yet, they might still misunderstand, so there may be need to be the third inscription that reads, if I am to be found anywhere, it is in your blissful way of breathing and walking. This is my continuation. Even though we may never have met in person, if you breathe in, you find bliss in your breathing, I am there with you. I often tell a story from the Bible, from the book of Luke, about two disciples traveling to Emmaus after Jesus had died. They met a man along the road and began to talk and walk with him. After some time, they stopped at an inn to eat. When the two disciples observed the way the man broke the bread and poured the wine, they recognized Jesus. This story teaches that even Jesus is not to be found only in his physical body. His living reality extends far beyond his physical body. Jesus was fully present in the way the bread was broken and in the way the wine was poured. This is the living Christ. That is why he can say, where two or three gathers in my name, there am I among them. This is not only Jesus or the Buddha or any other great spiritual teachers who are with us after their death. All of us continue as energy long after our physical body has changed form. Our beloved is not a self. When we prostrate before the Buddha or we bow to Jesus Christ, are we bowing to the Buddha who lived 2,500 years ago, or to the Christ who lived 2,000 years ago? Who are we bowing to? Are we bowing to ourselves? We have learned that the Buddha and Jesus Christ were human beings like us. All human beings are made of the five ever-changing, ever-flowing rivers of the physical body, feelings, perceptions, mental formation, and consciousness. You, me, Jesus Christ, and the Buddha, we are all continually changing. To say that today, Jesus Christ is exactly the same as he was 2,000 years ago is a mistake. Because even in 30 years of his life, Jesus Christ were never exactly the same. He changed every month and every year, and the same is true for the Buddha. At the age of 30, the Buddhas were different from how he was at the age of 40, and at the age of 80, he was different again. He, like all of us, constantly evolved and changed. So, which Buddha do we want? The one at 80 years old or at 40? We may visualize the Buddha with a certain kind of face or a certain kind of body. But we know that his body is impermanent and ever-changing. Or we might think that the Buddha doesn't exist anymore, or that the Jesus Christ of the past is no longer here, but that would also be incorrect, because we know that nothing can be lost. The Buddha is not a separate self. He is his actions. What are his actions? His actions are the practice of freedom and awakening in the service of all beings, and these actions continue. The Buddha is still here, but not in the form we usually imagine. Each one of us can be in direct contact with the Buddha as a kind of action. When we are able to walk happily on the earth, in touch with the wonders of life, with the beautiful birds, trees, and blue sky, feeling happy, at peace, and at ease, then we ourselves are a continuation of the Buddha. The Buddha is not something outside us. He is a kind of energy within us. Every day, the living Buddha is evolving and growing, manifesting in new forms. How old will you be in heaven? In our Buddhist Peace Delegation office in Paris in the 1970s, there was an English woman who volunteered to help us in our work. Although she was over 70 years old, she was in very good health, and every morning she would climb up the 5 flights of stairs to our office. She was Anglican and had a very strong faith. She firmly believed that after she died she would go to heaven, where she would be reunited with her very kind and handsome husband, who had died when he was 33. One day I asked her, "After you die and go to heaven and meet your husband again, will he be 33 or 70 or 80? And how old will you be? It would be a strain for you over 70 to meet him at 33. Sometimes our fate is very simple." She was confused, because she had never asked herself that question. She had just assumed that they would meet again. With the insight of interbeing, the insight that we are interarmed with one another and with all life, we don't need to wait to meet our beloved ones again in heaven. They are still right here with us. Nothing is lost. There are those who believe that an internal self continues to exist after the body disintegrates. We all call this belief a kind of internalism. Others believe that after death there's nothing. This is a kind of nihilism. We need to avoid both these extremes. The insight of impermanence and interbeing tells us that there cannot be an internal separate self, and the first law of thermodynamics, the law of conservation of energy, tells us that nothing can be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So, it's not scientific to believe that after our body decomposes, we become nothing. While we are alive, our life is energy, and after death, we continue to be energy. That energy is continually changing and transforming. It can never be lost. We cannot assert that after death there is nothing. Something can never become nothing. If we have lost someone who is very close to us and we are grieving, the concentrations on emptiness and silencelessness helps us look deeply and see the ways in which we still continue. Our loved one is still alive within us and around us. We are very real. They are very real. We have not lost them. It is possible to still recognize them in a different form or in even more beautiful forms than in the past. In the light of emptiness and interbeing, we know they have not died or disappeared. They continue in their action and in us. we can still talk to them. We can say something like, I know you are there. I'm breathing for you. I'm smiling for you. I'm enjoying looking around with your eyes. I am enjoying life with you. I know that you are still there, very close to me, and that now you continue in me. Life force. If there no boss, no owner, no actor behind our actions and no thinker behind our thoughts, then why do we have the sense of self? In Buddhist psychology, the part of our consciousness that has the tendency to create a sense of self is known in Sanskrit as manas. Manas is equivalent to what Sigmund Freud in psychoanalysis called the ID. Manas manifests from deep in our consciousness. It is our survival instinct and it always urges us to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Manas keeps saying, this is me, this is my body, this is mine, because Manas is unable to perceive reality clearly. Manas tries to protect and defend what is mistakenly thinks is a self. But there is not always good for our survival. Manas cannot see that we are made of only non-us elements and that what is considered to be a self is not actually a separate entity. Manas cannot see what its wrong view of the self can bring us a lot of suffering and prevent us from living happily with freedom. Contemplating the interconnectedness between our body and our environment, we can have Manas transform its illusion and see the truth. We don't need to get rid of Manas. Manas is a natural part of life. The reason Manas call this body me and mine is because one of Manas' role is to maintain our life force. This life force is what the 20th century French philosopher Henri Bergson called Elan vital. Like species, we have a will to live and a strong desire to cling to and protect our life and to defend ourselves from danger. But we have to be cautious not to let our instinct or self-preservation and auto-defense mislead us into thinking we have a separate self. The insight of interbeing and yourself can help us make use of our life force, what Freud called sublimation, to take action in life, to help and protect others, to forgive and to reconcile, and to help and protect the earth. I remember I once left a piece of ginger in a corner of my hermitage and didn't tend to it. But then one day I discovered that it has sprouted. The stem of ginger were giving rise to a plant of ginger. There was life within it. The same thing can happen with a potato. Everything has this vitality of wanting to go forward and be continued. This is very natural. Everything wants to live. So I put the ginger in the pot with some earth and let it grow. When a woman becomes pregnant, there is already a life force driving that child development. The life force of the mother and the fetus are neither the same nor different. The life force of the mother enters the child, and the life force of the child enters the mother. They are one, and little by little, they separate from each other. But sometimes we think that when the baby is born, it is as if the child now has a separate self, as his body, feeling, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are different from those of the mother. We may think that we can separate the child from the mother, but the truth is that there remains a relationship of continuation. Look at the child, we see the mother, and look at the mother, we see the child.